The theme of India's G20 presidency is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one earth, one family, one future. And the global power center in the world later this week will shift to India, as India will be hosting G20 summit. And as always, the Taj group of hotels have extended the iconic hospitality. Taj has partnered with G20 to welcome the guest and really endorse the spirit of Atiti Devo Bhava. So excitement, hard work, lot of preparations, and an excellent welcome is what you should expect when it comes to the dignitaries who are visiting India. But what about the preparedness and the hard work, and what we should expect in terms of the iconic hospitality? हिंदी में हम जिसे बोलते हैं मेहमान नवाजी. इस साल हमें मेहमान नवाजी क्या एक्सपेक्ट करनी चाहिए ताज ग्रुप ऑफ होटल से? Let's take that conversation forward with none other than the CEO of the Indian Hotels, Mr. Puneet Chhatwal. Mr. Chhatwal, always a pleasure, always a delight to have you on ET Now. This time around, sir, let's talk about the iconic hospitality with Taj will be extending to thousands of dignitaries who would be coming to India to attend G20 summit. What is your preparation? How excited are you? And what is the hard work behind the scenes?
Thank you, Nikunj. Thank you for having us, always representing the Indian hospitality. And this G20 presidency started almost a year ago, and Taj has been at the forefront. The first few meetings of the Sherpa of G20, the kickoff itself started at the Taj in Havelock in Andamans. The second one was on the terrace of Lake Palace in Udaipur, followed by Taj Mahal Palace in Mumbai, in the Chambers lawns. And, that has been going on, whether it's Kumarakam or very recently, almost 10 days ago, we had the B20 meeting of the ministers at the Taj Rambagh Palace, followed by the two-day meeting at the Taj Palace in Delhi. So I think all the associates, the group, the brand, everybody is very proud to have had this opportunity to showcase our iconic hospitality and take our culture to different parts of the world and showcase it. And just by doing this, I think it's a very major step towards increasing tourism, inbound tourism coming from outside, as all this is getting relayed, showed, whether on television or in newspapers, and a great, great moment, not just for the country, but also for its fantastic tourism sector.
Mr. Chhatwal, what could be the grandness of preparation? What is that andar ki baat which you would like to share with us when it comes to this entire G20 preparation by Indian group of hotels?
Well, Nikunj, it depends from, as I said, for the B20, when we had the setting in Rambagh Palace, it was all done in a palatial way, in the way the royalty would do it. When it came to Taj Palace in Delhi 10 days ago, then it was like any other convention, hosting almost 800 to 1,000 people. And now, while we are hosting heads of states in both Taj Mahal Delhi and Taj Palace, it's again one of that moment where you have the top leaders of the world staying with you, and we are very, very blessed, as I said before, to showcase our hospitality made in India. I would call it that way, not just for us as Taj, but also all other colleagues from the sector representing different brands.
What would be the menu like for head of states? What are some unique dishes which would be served to them?
Well, it's the year of millets, so there is a strong focus on showcasing dishes made from millets. But it depends also on the Indian food, various kinds of Indian food. We have been featuring that from all across India. We have been showcasing India both from a hospitality and food perspective. But I have to say that Also, the events organized, and which I was fortunate to have attended one, which did the fashion show in the Bharat Mandapam, showcasing all the fabrics and the fashion trends from India that are really shaping what the future trends will be from all across, from all states of India. It was really like an eye opener even for me. So I think it's not just the food, it's not just the hospitality, it's a 360-degree proposition from all aspects, and ultimately it's very good for the sector.
What is good for the sector is always great for shareholders. Should the shareholders of Indian hotels be mighty excited that G20 means hotel rooms are sold out at rates never before, occupancy levels are high, and that is something which will be reflecting in this quarter?
Um, it is that all hotels are sold out on these dates, but I think we have to look beyond a few days. I think as I mentioned earlier, Nikunj, the lasting impact of the G20 and the B20 that happened recently is far higher than just a few days of completely sold out rooms. Of course, it helps because that makes like September a very extraordinary month. So that definitely is a positive tailwind for all of us. And the good thing is that the events are happening in Delhi. The good thing is we are very well prepared for it. The good thing is the security levels are high. The good thing is all the chefs are planning and cooking and creating the best of their magic. And so is all the other associates, whether it's comes to your butler service, to service on the floors, or other parts of the hotel. I think all that should give an additional boost in the next few days, and we are very pleased with that.
Mr. Chatwal, we are talking to you after a while. So just to shift gears from what this quarter is looking like versus what the next quarter could be looking like. You've always been very open about sharing your order booking, your outlook for next 2 or 3 quarters. So once the G20 sugar rush is over, what happens next then? Because the next quarter, which is Q3, which will in a sense will be the most important quarter for you.
Q3, as you rightly say, has always been the most important quarter for the sector. And Q3 results are absolutely critical and important in their contribution to the full financial year. Now, having said that, Q3 is also blessed with Diwali. Q3 is also blessed with Christmas, New Year. And this year, in particular, we also have the World Cup cricket happening as an example. But if we take a step back and don't look at only these one-off events, what we are witnessing in the last 16, 18 months is that demand is outpacing supply. Supply is going to remain constrained. So if the demand continues to outpace supply, the occupancy levels will be higher, and that would mean that your ability to charge, which means the average rates, will keep increasing. Obviously, we are also coming from a very low base when compared internationally. So the first major factor is the demand and supply balance. The second very important factor for the sector is, as I said, all this G20 is helping in indirect marketing of destination India. And that will encourage more and more people to come in. And we are expecting as of November or December of this year to get back to pre-COVID level of inbound tourism. We are nowhere close to that number if we adjust it for the arrivals which are only related to G20. The third important factor going forward for the buoyancy that we are having in the sector is that the majority of the pipeline of hotels that are expected to open are not in the top 10 key metros. As per a report done by Harvard Consulting, more than 50% of the pipeline is in tier 2, tier 3 cities. That means new destinations. So I think all in all these things, when put together, should help occupancies and rates. And if rates improve, the flow through improves. And if the flow through improves, obviously the profitability and cash flows improve.
So, Mr. Chatwal, if I connect the dots here, if I compare last year versus this year, there are two large events, G20 and Cricket World Cup, and the third cherry on the top really could be inbound tourism, where you expect normalization to happen and we could go to pre-COVID levels. So looks like next 2 quarters, if I put all these three factors together, there are good tailwinds.
I don't look at, as I said earlier, Nikunj, it's not just the quarters. The supply will not get built that quickly. So I think in the short and medium term, the demand will continue to outpace supply, and that is good for the hotel's ability to drive good occupancies and charge better rates. So it's not related to just 1 or 2 quarters. Because of COVID, because of lockdowns, very few of the hotels actually went under construction. Those that were under construction will obviously finish and will open up. But as I mentioned, the majority of that supply is not in Delhi, Bombay, Goa, Chennai, Hyderabad, Kolkata, the 10 major metros, or in the state of Rajasthan. So the supply in the top 10 markets is constrained. That helps you drive the performance, and newer markets are opening up, which is also good, especially the spiritual sector. The kind of boom that is happening in places like Banaras or in Ayodhya, the kind of spiritual tourism that is increasing in the way it is increasing. We are about to open our second hotel just in Tirupati. We have signed 2 in Ayodhya, and we are doubling the size of Taj Ganges in Banaras. So I think all in all, there is a lot of activity, a lot of buoyancy. Per capita income is growing. India is having good GDP growth, which means higher disposable income, and higher disposable income means more discretionary spend. And one of the beneficiaries of that spend is going to be hospitality and tourism.
But do you expect business travel, which again is a mainstay for a hotel chain like Indian Hotels, at least in metro, that also to remain robust? Because that's where you get real benefits of capacity.
Absolutely. And the spend that is happening from the government on the infrastructure development, whether it's the renaissance of train stations or new airports or investment in highways, and look at the convention center in Pragati Maidan or the one opening in Dwarka and the addition of Geo in Mumbai, all this is going to capture latent demand that was not there before. We did not have the capacity to host 1,000 people sit-down event in any place in India. So maybe there was one or the other, but to have that in the main metros, the country's capital, and in the financial capital of the country is very important. And I think that is going to drive new sources of demand and also new sources of business, which we had not tapped in before.
Mr. Chhatwal, one of the hallmarks of Indian hotels, and especially under tenure, has been margin expansion. Margins are now sustaining above 30%. And as more and more capacity will get added up, will 30% be the new normal for Indian hotels?
Under Ahvaan 2025, the guidance that we have given is 33, and we feel that we will remain close to that, if not overachieve it. So the likelihood, last year we ended up almost at 33. So we remain very optimistic because of the change in the business model. So we are guided on a strategy which is built on a healthy mix of asset heavy and asset light. So majority of our hotels that we are opening as of this month will be opening now 2 hotels per month going forward over the next 3 years, which means 24 hotels in the next 12 months and 48 in the next 24 months. So and almost all of that is not owned. It's some of the Ginger would be coming under an operating lease, and the rest is all management contract, except for the flagship Ginger, which we're opening in the next 6 weeks in Mumbai, in Santa Cruz. So given all that, the margin expansion is a consequence of that kind of contracts that we are doing. So we do enjoy at the moment a very good operating leverage that we get from the owned portfolio, and the margin expansion through management contracts and through new businesses that we have ventured into.
Just a couple of follow-up questions, Mr. Chatwal. I mean, it's such a pleasure to have you on ET Now. So I'm taking the liberty of extending my appointment with you. When do you think some of your new ventures, the reboot of Chambers, AMA, Cumin, when will they start having a needle-moving impact on your profitability where you will start accounting them as verticals?
Well, Chambers is already there, and Cumin is getting there as Cumin, which started as home delivery, is evolving into also a QSR. So all our Ginger hotels, all-day dining restaurants will be called Cumin. 20 of them have already got done from a portfolio of 60 in operation. So slowly we are transitioning, and I think over the next few years, we should have at least 75 Cumin branded restaurants. On Chambers, as you know, that we are opening the new Chambers in West End. As we speak, the renovation of the Chambers in Land's End in Mumbai is getting finished, and then we will also start with the renovation in Colaba. Maybe if we get approval in New York, we'll add one in New York. We opened in London. We are already in Dubai. We have in Hyderabad, Kolkata, Chennai, all destinations. The Delhi Chambers is obviously been accepted and embraced very well by all the members and is almost the talk of the town or the place to go to. And Chambers has almost 80% flow through and has become a very meaningful private membership club vertical. AMA, it will take another 2-3 years because you need a scale. We are at 125 villa portfolio, but hopefully we can get to what we have guided under Avan is 500 plus. We need to get to that number, whether by 2025 or 2027. And I think as of that moment, they will start becoming meaningful contributors because there we have to change the strategy. I think in AMA segment, we are happy to become asset heavy, just like we did that with Ginger in terms of operating leases, because by the expansion that we have had up to 125, we have only 2 that are owned. The rest is all on a fee base, and the fee for that 4 or 5 room villa does not move the needle, as you said. So I think we are very happy to invest in the land banks that we have in the places where we have additional FSI to build some villas, and that could become a very interesting real estate as well as a management play in a very different segment.
Final question, Mr. Chatwal. Now you've silenced all the naysayers who 2 years ago started raising concerns that, okay, hotel industry is a cyclical industry and once the COVID sugar rush will over, the demand will peter down. But demand, what you predicted, has sustained. But if I look at some of your peers, it's not only Indian hotels. They are also talking about adding massive capacity, whether it is a global chain of hotels or Indian big hotel companies. In your view, when do you think this supply-demand match will start bridging itself? Because ultimately, that is what history has taught us.
I think important is that the demand has to stay strong. With the changes in infrastructure investment, I think the landscape is going to change permanently. If you really look at it from a very normal global perspective, and you say we are the 5th largest economy and getting ambitious or aspirational to become 3rd largest economy. If I look at the branded hotel room supply, we are less than 200,000 branded rooms in whole of India. That is equal to total branded room supply of Singapore and Dubai together, right? So there is a long way to go, and it comes to almost 0.1 bed or room per 1,000 people in the country. So this is way beyond any comparison versus any other G7 or G10 countries or the 5 top economies in the world. So I think there is a long way to go in terms of building supply. And hotels is not anymore a luxury, it's a necessity. If you're having a G20 nations and so many heads of states and thousands of people with the press and their assistants and their teams coming in, where would you host them? So I think a lot of supply is needed and has to be built and will get built and will be a natural consequence of the growth of India, of the positioning of India, of what we've been trying to aim and build. And as the economy becomes more and more aspirational, it will lead to more business meetings. It will lead to more business travel. And I think the supply will get added. It will expand exponentially. But important is it will only expand because the demand will continue to outpace supply.
Well, Mr. Chhatwal, I just want to bring this point out for our viewers that if I look at the story of Indian Hotel, it's been not just a simple turnaround. It's been a story of grit, perseverance, culture, and the vision of the management, and on top of that, professional management, which has really turned the tide for a business which, in a sense, had almost sunk to a low because of COVID. So I'm sure right now shareholders are happy, the guests are happy, and everybody is really looking forward to hear from Taj the Atithi Devo Bhava iconic experience which they have to offer everyone when it comes to G20. So I look forward to see you, much more of you on the channel, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Nikunj. As a pleasure as always.